What's up everybody, it's Dono. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to transition from writing to audio. I got a question that basically asks how you can make that transition, and that's something that hits pretty close to home. Now, a lot of you have probably noticed, if you follow my videos, I talk a lot more about writing than I do delivery, and my writing skills are a lot stronger than my delivery skills. That's because before I ever started delivering, I had written for years and years and years. So my writing skill is just leaps and bounds ahead of my delivery skill. So I have some pretty good insights for you if you're trying to transition from just writing, moving into audio, because this is something that I went through myself. Here's a couple things to keep in mind. So first, you gotta realize that rhythm is absolutely pivotal. And I know that rhythm in writtens is important as well, but it works out a little bit differently when you're actually, speaking. So the first thing that I would recommend is learn how to count bars, because this is going to come in handy as you learn to transition to flowing over an instrumental. What you can get away with in writing a lot of times is really impossible to try to put smoothly on a beat, or not necessarily impossible, but it's really difficult, right? And just as you're starting out, you may be able to write things that you actually can't deliver. You may also find that you need to structure your lines a little bit differently so they fit over the instrumental. So the first thing is make sure you understand how to count bars, because once you do, then you can figure out how to put rhythms over those bars and then slot your words in over top of those rhythms. Second, don't expect your first iteration of your rap voice to come across perfectly. More likely than not, you're going to need some practice, and there's a couple skills that most writers transitioning to audio will really need to work to develop. Mainly projecting and confidence, making sure that you're speaking with enough energy that people can, get attached to what you're saying. A lot of times what happens when you switch from writing to reciting is that you end up just reading your lines. So what you're going to need to do is memorize them and then start amping up your energy so that you can get people on board. A quiet, monotone reading is not going to cut it, and that's what a lot of writers do, is just you can't really understand what's going on. So the best way to develop this is to practice a lot. And I don't mean, kind of this half mumble under your breath stuff, right? Full on practice, like you're trying to fill a room with your voice and having people hear you. That's the type of practice that you need to quickly develop your delivery so that you can actually recite your lines aloud. On top of that, a regular practice is going to help you get over a lot of the fear, right? For a lot of people transitioning, it's not just the fact that they haven't practiced some of these skills before. Another part of it is confidence, which really holds a lot of people back. So regular practice is going to dilute that fear pretty quickly. The third thing I'm going to recommend is to start recording your voice. So for a lot of beginners, this can be really difficult because, they don't like how it sounds or they don't have that much experience, but it's going to be really important because it gives you a more objective look at how you're delivering. When you're listening back to a recording, you can tell kind of what energy level and clarity that you're at. On top of that, I do recommend listening to your recordings right after you do them, but I also recommend listening to them, like a week later after you've had some time, so that it doesn't come off exactly as your memory dictates, right? Because a lot of times once you create something, you just kind of remember what you just did and how you thought it was supposed to sound, and that influences the way that you actually hear it. So if you put some time between your recording and your listening, you may be able to pick up some additional insights that you didn't have at the time you were recording it. Another thing to do is, once you've got these recordings, if you're having a hard time coming up with stuff to work on, listen to what you've recorded and then listen to the delivery of an established artist right after and see where the gaps are, see where the differences are in energy, see where the differences are in pronunciation and flow, etc., and see where you can improve to become more like the artist you like in those specific skills. Now, I don't have you do that to make you feel bad, right? It's not about going, oh wow, I'm so far from them, I'll never get there. It's about learning the types of things that they're doing and the techniques they're using so that you can get a little bit closer as you transition from written to audio and develop your own style. So those are the three biggest tips that I have for transitioning from written to audios. Mainly, you just need to get a lot of practice using your voice and getting used to things, as well as getting used to a little bit more rhythmic style. If you've done a lot of, verbal poetry, but not a lot of actual rap, then you have a better grasp of that. But it's absolutely pivotal because things you can get away with in writing don't necessarily translate to rapping. That's all I've got for this video. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, topics you want me to cover, throw them down in the box below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. On top of that, I've got a full 30-day rap course. I'll give that to you at a discount. You can check out the link below. And I've got a website, rapbetter.com, that's going to have some additional resources for you. That's all, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the videos. And if you have any questions, comments, or topics you want me to cover, leave them down in the box below and I'll get to them as soon as possible. See you next time.